Last we left off, you left the burgomaster's humble cottage in Krezk to head straight to the Abbey of St. Markovia to visit the abbot. Along the way, you spotted a sparkling, shimmering pond overlooked by the statue of the Morning Lord. But upon reaching the abbey, you found it to appear to be deserted. You were only greeted by two mongrel folk when you made noise pushing open the gate. But they quickly led you to the abbot after just a little bit of questioning. Along the way, you found several other mongrel folk that were being imprisoned. Whether it be locked in a shed or tied to a post in the main courtyard, their very nature was extremely unsettling. Even the smallest interaction with some of them could lead to your own forms of madness, which Ramiz found out very quickly. You spoke with the abbot about his plans to produce the flesh golem for Strahd to be his bride, and entertained the idea of helping his final touches by plundering a skull from one of Tatiana's many reincarnated graves down in the ruins of Paris. You now stand around the well of the courtyard after having learned that it can transport you to any of the other villages that have one of these wells.
Oh, yeah.
What do you do?
Geez.
Geronimo.
Okay, so just to be clear, I can't remember if we discussed this or not. Radovan, you said that you would be able to resurrect the Burgomaster's son, right? Like, you brought that up.
Yeah, I can reincarnate him.
What about the
Okay.
the scroll of true resurrection that we?
There is that as well. But we could
Well, we
always
can
just
offer
ask.
it. Why don't we go talk to him? I think that we should head back to town and maybe touch base with the burgomaster. Maybe.
Oh, I was gonna say we could ask the abbot, and then it's like, and like, you know, do a little bit of vetting, like, so if he would even, you know,
Entertain the idea.
yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Every
Bye.
time.
Radovan's going to be
Joseph.
doing the betting.
Did
Yeah,
he update his drivers?
he said he
Yeah.
looked and everything was
I did
on
that.
the up and up.
Discord hates you, man.
I also, like, enabled everything on the firewall. So, John said he thinks it's like my webcam. Because
Yeah.
every time it happens, like,
Your
but-
webcam flickers green beforehand.
I've
But
never noticed that.
you've never noticed his webcam flickering green?
Mm-mm.
I've
I mean, I
noticed
haven't
it.
been paying attention, so I don't really know, but...
Why do we
You
even
need to
play with video?
Stare at Joseph so much more.
Because one
Well,
of us
I
has been with
stare
one
at one of
the
you
other.
whenever you're talking. Anyways,
I just stare at myself.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
that doesn't surprise me at all.
What was I saying before I became really disappointed?
I think we're
I
talking
love
about
myself.
like just
You want to dig that
asking
in? Like,
the
check-
abbot
Yeah,
if
yeah,
he could
we can
even
vet, and then we
resurrect
could
the son.
kill two birds with one stone
Oh,
by saying, "Hey, we'll go get you the skull, but if you bring back this." Did we ever find out how he died?
I don't think we did.
The
Yeah,
kid?
you never
No,
really.
No.
They never really said.
That's true.
They just said from an illness. So I guess they never said like, oh, smallpox or he died from the mongrel folk illness. Like they never really said anything along those lines.
They probably don't know.
fingers on dengue fever.
Dengue? Yeah, because it's a tropical location, Brovia.
Perfect.
So, to be clear, we are just going to at least ask if he can do it first, and then just go
Yeah.
from there. Okay.
I mean, you guys
Yeah.
are just having this powwow, and the abbot's just right there.
And he is he's expecting an answer, if I recall correctly, right? Because he left while we were having a discussion about all this, so...
And then
yeah, we asked
so
him to like leave us alone.
well, that was when you guys were still within the fucking secret rope trick inside of the abbey itself, like inside of the building. But then he summoned you out to check on the well that one of the mongrel folk had relayed to him that could aid you in your travels.
All right. And so we were literally just told about this portal, right? And then that was end of session.
Yeah.
That was
yeah,
the end of
okay.
session, yeah, because I wanted you guys to be able to think about it. If you wanted to use that for a means
That
of
good that did for everybody.
quickly traveling.
Henderson will just look down. If I look down to this well, what do I see? Is it just water, or do I see like lights or anything?
With the recent display of, let me snag his name. That Cloven, the goat-esque mongrel folk, had displayed when he performed the small ritual. There was almost like a water spirit. Kind of looking at it, the water is now not necessarily moving the way that a natural water well would. In fact, I think when one of you even looked down to begin with, you realized that at least the water level was low enough for Mishka, that's not, I didn't tell you their name, to be hiding down there. But now the water is rising all the way up very close to the top and just kind of swirling back and forth. So it is definitely not like natural.
I have to say this is pretty impressive.
I cannot believe that I have been here this entire time, been unaware of the nature of this well. Cloven just informed me that they sometimes use it when they think that they might be able to find bones from other villages that might suit our needs.
Are you able to bring people back from the dead?
I can, yes. I have not practiced such in a very long time, but it is a skill that I possess.
Do they come back changed?
He tilts his head.
Physically, I mean.
In their, do they come back in their original body?
Yes, I don't see why they wouldn't. What would give you the impression that if I were to resurrect someone, that they would not be in their normal form?
I'm going to obviously look at the mongrel folk.
Anderson will just kind of say, "Look, I've seen some dark magic before, and from what I've seen with people coming back from the dead, they have a tendency not to come back the same."
That I cannot promise. Death does weird things here in Barovia.
So, would you be willing to bring back a lost child?
Remind me again, whose child are you speaking of?
The
Or one of
burgomaster
the Burgomaster's child?
lost his son very recently. And he's devastated over the news. And had asked us to entreat with you, see if there's anything you could do about it.
That is terribly sad. I suppose I could, guaranteed that I would be safe going down to the village. The people there are not very fond of me or the company that I keep.
Well,
Might
maybe
it
if we
perhaps be preferable that we bring the remains to you?
maybe under the cover of darkness.
That could
Hate to look
also
like we're
be a very real possibility if you would be willing to make such a strenuous hike.
wasn't that bad.
You see, the unfortunate business of having to take from the dead in order to try to free the lands of Barovia. Not everyone understands my cause. So stuck in the now, the here, trapped forever that they forget what it's like to try to fight, come up with new ideas to leave this realm. This is all they know. And so while I might steal bones from their backyards, well, not me personally, but Cloven here, they forget that it is for the greater good.
Well, perhaps you can have them understand it if that's what you really think.
I don't know, Anderson. It's a really tough thing to try to ask people to be understanding about.
Well, I think you should at least try.
It's not just that, of course. You all have eyeballs, yes? You can see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sassy Temperance over there.
My initial visit several hundred years ago was one of healing. I came on a mission sent from the gods to help these poor souls, and they're afflicted. Then one day, my magic failed me. Grotesque healings began in place of my once meticulous process that never failed now turned these innocents into, pardon me, Cloven, abominations. I tried my hardest to try to reverse the cause, find out what was going wrong, but am still to this day uncertain. So that is why I hesitate to help anyone's ailments, for fear that I might be causing additional pain. Now, the only residents that we keep here in the Abbey are those that are bred from their ancestors. And by bred, I don't mean that I am personally breeding them, but they find their own relations, and I take care of the offspring. Those that are too violent find themselves in an attempt to be rehabilitated. If they do not comply, well, unfortunately, they must be put down. Humanely, of course.
There was a mongrel folk that was. I'm sorry if that's offensive, but there was one of their kind working for Strahd.
Yes, you. What do you think of him?
I didn't have a great impression of him.
Interesting, I guess.
You do not have to put it lightly. I am grown several hundred years now, so I can handle whatever assessment you might have of one that came from my abbey.
I mean, we didn't interact with him enough to have too concrete of an impression. I don't even think that Temperance, Radovan, or Hermes even met him. It was just us.
He
I
chased
I
will
me
came
say-
around
across
the
him
table.
briefly.
He seemed a sniveling fool.
It was, and if I'm going to be honest, he was very unsettling.
We were
He was like an
almost
overbred hound dog.
we were almost worried that all of that kind worked with or for Strahd.
Ah. So you do believe that he works for Strahd, then?
No,
Are
that
you
was
suggesting
clear.
that he does not?
Does he not?
Is he
He was doing his bidding. He was
one of yours on the inside?
And he looks at you, Radovan. Someone with not only eyes, but also a brain to pick up quickly. He is, in fact, sent for me under
a
the
spy.
guise that he was being mistreated here, seeking refuge from Lord Strahd. I'm telling you this in confidence, of course, knowing you only for a brief moment, but feel that we might have aligned interests.
And then stares at Temperance angrily.
You probably
Um,
didn't notice, but he has an amulet around his neck. It allows him to communicate with me. Tells me of the goings-on of the castle.
To be fair, Abbott, we didn't know you existed when we interacted with him.
Then his work is being performed flawlessly, and I commend him.
But you're still under the impression that if you give Strahd what he wants, all of this goes away.
Yes, he has never... He has never... And he trails off. Found the love that he seeks. Something always happens. I think that if he were to marry and find some sort of happiness, regardless of where it comes from, sick, twisted, or otherwise, that it might rest his vengeful spirit, releasing the hold that Vampire has on him. It has never been done in the history of Barovia. It is something that I think is worth trying.
But you would need time once you've collected the skull of Tatiana's resurrection, rebirth, whatever you called it. You would need time to finish your so-and-so masterpiece then.
The wounds from the stitching heal quite quickly. I can expedite them with additional magic, but might leave minor scarring. As I'm sure you've seen, Tatiana does have quite the full head of hair. I could try to hide some of the scars in her hairline, would allow me to expedite the process while still keeping an intact visage. So, yes, I can resurrect the Burgomaster's child. In agreement that you would help me in my endeavor attempting to free Barovia.
Well, something else as well. I think it would be appreciated if you didn't rob the graves of this village.
Would he have need if we took the last piece that he needs?
I
Looks at the abbot.
can assure you that I have plundered all I can from the villages below. There will be no additional need.
If we could show up to the Burgomaster and say that you promised to stop doing that, that would go a long way to gaining favor with the townfolk for you and yours.
As I said, it is not only the bones of the lost that give people pause, but also the monstrous nature of my companions, who I will not disown.
Oh no, I'm saying it would help. I didn't say it would solve all of your problems.
Then it has
But
not
it
helped
is
at all.
but it is the primary complaint we hear of the town is that you guys have been grave robbing.
How long have you been below the abbey in Krezk?
Not long.
Less
The
than a
afternoon.
day.
Ah. Okay.
Are there other complaints that we should be aware of?
Only the ones that I have stated.
I mean, you can't help
Insight. Can I
who they
insight that?
are, but you
This guy
can
seems
help
hard to read, but
Yeah,
can I
way hard
What
to
insight
they
read.
him?
Go
do.
ahead and give a insight check.
Yeah.
He's not
Y-
he's not trying to hide anything.
But yeah, you can't help who they are, but you can help what they do.
It's a 9. Like you can come through. Yeah, okay, good. Please start
If
working.
you're asking me to punish them further for their howling at dinner time, or
No.
have you been here long enough to hear the howls that they make?
Yes.
Some of them otherworldly, a mix of that is which familiar, tied with something that is not. Quite unsettling, even for those that live here in Barovia. Could you imagine hearing that 2, 3 times a day, sometimes in the middle of the night, interrupting your sleep?
I suppose
Constant
not.
reminders of the animals that live up here. You can see at this point, Cloven probably hasn't seen his master, for a lack of a better word, talk this candidly before about them or his peers. And he starts to get a little uncomfortable, kind of, shifting his hooves into the ground behind to eventually just kind of walk off back to the place where you came, going into the door and kind of allowing it to just barely swing closed behind him.
Well, freeing Barovia means that you have more places to go. Or the village down below has more places to go. You guys don't have to be neighbors. Once we free this land, you'll be free to do what you must or go where you want. Live how you need.
Or perhaps the freeing of this land would free them of their their own curse.
Precisely. I do think, in my studies, that the longer that I stayed here in Barovia, my magic was somehow twisted, tainted, unable to perform the way that it used to, that it always had. And so that over time, my healings of infections or curing blind had odd ramifications of severe disfiguration. Sometimes, not aesthetically, at least, but physically for the better. A stronger leg where a once weak one had been, or eyes that could see with laser like precision. But quite unsightly. I think that if I break this curse, I may have the ability to heal them again,
What was the
one by
last
one.
time you used your magic for resurrection?
Well over 100 years ago.
And you think the longer you stay in this land, the more your magic is affected?
It is quite possible.
It seems a plausible enough theory
I
to me.
have not even healed these folk. All of wounds or treatments now have turned to natural,
But
using,
what's the risk if we try to ask you to resurrect the Burgomaster's son that he doesn't get afflicted?
well, I am not sure. I do not know what was wrong with him in life to know what could be possibly altered in resurrection. If he
Of
died
course.
to maybe an issue with his lungs or something internal, the organs could somehow be transformed, which would be an inward difference. But if there was a physical issue, it could lead to transformation. I have not ever had a transformation happen during resurrection before, only when practicing normal healing, so I cannot tell you for certain that
And it
there
all
will
starts
be.
pace. Well, I mean, it actually might work out in your favor. If you resurrect the son and he does end up like this, it may go a long way into bridging the communication gap that you guys have between your folk and his folk. So honestly,
You're assuming that
Let me show you something. And he takes off walking up the road to the opposite building. And as he gets to the door and opens it up, continues in, and just even getting to the door, as soon as it's cracked, you start to hear all manners of whispers and yipes and different animalistic sounds. And he stops as he gets in. Do not attempt to touch or make direct eye contact. The consequences could be grave. And I will not move the token, but you can freely explore. Let me. Each of these wooden doors that are along this corridor have, I guess, probably like a 1 foot by 1 foot window with bars in the front for the ability to be able to see in. Um, you know
Where'd
what?
everybody go?
At this point, I can just get rid of all this. There's no reason to have it.
Right here.
Oh,
Oh well.
Oh.
that's a lot of creatures.
Let me.
With
my flesh
extraordinary
wounds do that.
features.
There'd be an army against Strahd.
As you're walking through, and the abbot continues to talk, all of these creatures. Do you see any of them that a parent would like to then have as their child? You say it could help bridge the gap, but if my magic did fail, which I hope that it wouldn't, I could potentially be even more of an enemy than I was before.
Is that a risk you're willing to take?
Yes, but is it a risk that you are willing to take?
Or his
Honestly,
parents.
we're the messengers. The risk is minimal to us.
As you will. And he continues walking out the other side. And as you eventually step out into what would be their garden with scarecrows, you can see this is where vegetables, different crops are being grown and harvested for the food of the people.
Abbott, while we have your ear, can you tell us a little bit about that pond we saw coming up?
It is quite magical in nature. Impressive. The pond has healing properties on its own. Oftentimes, that is what I use when I need a normal remedy to an ailment that my children might have. Why do you ask?
It just kind of stood out when we were heading up this mountain.
Dare I ask, if we were to commit to the ritual, would any of the properties of the pond itself lend any assistance to your craft?
He goes about describing the nature in which this calms them down when they are in the height of their um, frenzy or, um, you know, just all of the different forms of madness that each of these mongrel folk can display. And Radovan, having used a version of this spell, you find that the water now basically forms lesser restoration.
You've been here a long time. Do you know the origins of this pool? Why it is so has such divine properties to it.
It is a natural little spring. I was not here the day that Barovia became the plane that it is, but legend has it that it was the god, the Morning Lord, shedding a tear for the atrocity that happened at Castle Ravenloft, the night that Sergei was murdered and Tatiana jumped to her death.
Hmm. Are we free to partake of it? Should we wish?
I quite encourage you to at least take in the view, maybe meditate. I find it to be quite peaceful.
And are we free to come and go from your abbey as long as we cause no harm?
I do not see any reason to hold you here hostage.
No, I meant in case we needed to use the well. If we leave, can we come back?
Yes, you may use the well. I would advise that while you might have the ability to come and go as you please, I strongly discourage you to come into the main resting quarters. I would also avoid the courtyard around feeding time.
Good to know.
Very well. I, for one, am willing to aid you in your trick, risky as it might be.
Well, it seems like we're on the same side here. I guess I'd be willing to as well.
I appreciate your assistance. I feel that that is the best chance we have.
If it doesn't work,
Then we are doomed.
would you and yours lend aid against Strahd if we tried it your way first and there was no results?
I think you are under the assumption that I have control of these beasts. I do not. They are feral.
Maybe the ones that would like to fight for their freedom and are reasonable. Can we talk to them at least? Give them an option?
I would strongly discourage you from communicating with any that you have not already communicated with.
So there are four that you feel that can be trusted.
Yes, and the ones here do not have the physical prowess to be able to aid in combat, nor do I think they would. Unless you had some task that required stealth or some sort of honestly, I'm not quite sure if they would be of any assistance, as they are not familiar with the castle.
Well, we do have to find a way to trade the Irina for the one he has for the one he would make. That's our biggest hurdle.
But again, they are not familiar with the castle. They would probably only get themselves in more trouble. You would be
Well-
better off trying to tell Cyrus that you have been in contact with me.
Yeah, if you could have your man on the inside, it would make the swap a lot easier.
Tell Cyrus that the sun has finally rose and that its bright rays shine upon him. He will
Okay.
know that you work with me.
Very well. Thank you.
Very well.
Let me know if you do, in fact, require my assistance with resurrecting the boy.
I think we're gonna go down into town for the night, and tomorrow we'll make our move.
I will be here. I never sleep.
The nifty trick.
Oh,
What time is it? Is it like early afternoon now, or
Probably late
mid
afternoon.
it took us a while to get up here, from what I remember.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. You guys are, it would definitely be night by the time that you got back down. Because it was dinner time as they, before you came up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you guys wanna walk back down?
Are you
I
offering
mean-
to carry us?
You want to go eagle mode?
I could turn into
Well-
a giant eagle and
If you're offering, sure.
Yeah. Well, it's uncomfortable, but
It'd
I
be a lot
guess.
faster.
just save some daylight and check out this,
I do want to
this
check out the.
sacred pool.
Yeah, I want some time with that too. But we should touch base with the burgomaster first.
Ah, sure.
Let him know that he's willing if we do this favor for him, and that he promised to stop grave robbing.
Alrighty.
Let's
Uh,
not be too liberal with our divulging of information.
What do you
I-
mean?
I wouldn't want.
You don't need to tell him what the abbot's doing,
No,
right?
just that we talk to him and he will stop
That's
pilfering,
all I'm asking. I just want to make sure that
the
we're all on the same
graves.
page.
and that he has agreed if we do a favor to resurrect his son. That's all.
I do think that we should be open with the abbot's own admittance that his
That there's a chance
divine
that
the-
we're wrong.
abilities seem to have
warning.
been corrupted over time.
Yeah, let the burgomaster make the choice with his eyes open. Absolutely. This whole thing has
Alright.
exhausted me.
It's at that point that the burgomaster, or not the burgomaster, but the abbot had walked away before you had begun that conversation, when he basically said, like, good luck, let me know what you need. But you can see him now tending to some of the crops in the distance over here.
All right.
Like spending
will
that spell
turn-
slot?
Yeah.
It's-
well,
it's a
not
wild
spell slot,
shape.
It's just a wild
Oh,
shape.
it's just a wild shape?
Just a wild
Yeah.
shape.
Just get so back on short rest. Bullshit.
Okay. And heading back down, how do you plan to do it? Are you just gonna straight down
jump-
into
Hit
the?
the glide.
I mean, probably
Um,
just like maybe like just like the outskirts, like right before we enter in the,
Yeah, I
the
don't want
town,
to
not like in the
uh,
middle of the town or anything.
Spook the
I don't want to have any
villagers.
like
On the
people who are
burgomaster's roof, right?
eager for eagle meat to be like, get up, you know.
All right, let's take you back to the main map so you can see.
So like maybe right here.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah, swooping back down over the short abbey stone walls and down the rather steep cliff face. This
Could have
was
just sledded down, guys.
that would have
No,
been a
we
very,
rolled down.
Not
very
that small,
rough
is
slope.
it?
It's
You throw snowboard.
Yeah.
But
Conjure a
it'd
few
be dirt
shovels.
board because there's no snow.
it's about a 500-foot elevation. So
Good skiing.
yeah. But you make your way back down to the basically the front of the town, making your way for the moment, because of the tall trees and kind of the secluded nature of the rest of the village and kind of how they're hidden away from the world within their own small forest. Um, you feel relatively comfortable that they could not see, as long as you didn't go like super high in the sky or make any like screeching noises.
Do a
as you're
couple. I
coming
do a
down.
couple barrel rolls.
Do you? Okay. Or maybe a couple guards see it. No, I'm just kidding. But you feel like you made it down without being drawing any attention to yourselves. But you are headed to the burgomaster's, correct? Alrighty.
Yeah, think so.
You eventually make your way. Do you knock on the door or do you walk right in?
I think we would knock. We're supposed to
Yeah,
be sleeping in the
probably
barn. I mean, if Temperance tries to barge in, I'd stop her and then we'd knock.
Temperance isn't
call, good
barging
call,
in.
yeah.
Don't worry.
Not
That's
yet.
Temperance's default mode. Just barges in.
So you knock on the door, and at first you hear no movement. But then you hear kind of a loud groan, and then some heavy footfalls. And eventually the burgomaster
Ooh, okay.
opens the door. You can see his eyes, at least the surrounding areas around it, seem to be a pinkish red. Even a little bit of moisture still remaining. But they seem to be kind of like that sleepy look that, like, right when you first wake up and like you feel like you can't open your eyes all the way, right? And he looks out at you. Oh, what is the news? Do you bring back good information from the abbot?
Good information indeed. However, it seems the abbot in his time in this land, due to the curse of its lord, the once holy man, his powers seem to have been corrupted.
As soon
He
as
is
you say
afraid.
that, he looks back into their very small, humble cottage where you remember the bed kind of like it was a flat, like you could see everything in this one room. And he looks back, and even though he kind of is in like a heavier version of a nightgown. This isn't made out of like silks, but it is, a heavier, more of like a wool or a thick linen type deal. He puts on his leather boots, sliding into them, and steps out into the cold of the night, or the evening rather, and shuts the door behind. Let's talk about this a little bit further away from the house. I do not want my wife to overhear any bad news. I have resigned to the fact that I may not ever see my son again. She still holds hope beyond hope.
Well, to rip off a bandage, suppose, make it quick. The abbot's power seems to be getting corrupted. The last time he performed such a ritual was 100 years ago. He has since avoided using such divine powers and tries to stick to natural remedies. Although, well, it would be a risk. He said he would be willing to do it, but he has some fear over what would result.
Are you insinuating that my son, should he be resurrected, could turn half man, half fish, or...
Well, that's the thing. We're not sure.
We're not sure, but it is something that the abbot himself found plausible.
Is it... Never mind, I'm going to refrain from that. Sorry, all I have right now in my head is fucking old Greg, and I was going to be like, is it going to be a 50-50 or more of a 70-30 split? And like, that's all I can think of. It's filling my brain, and I can't get rid of it. Anyways,
Did you love me?
yeah,
Did you learn to love me?
true.
Very topical.
Look, the question is, do you want to see your son back? And are you capable of loving him no matter what happens?
Would you think less of me if I said no?
No, it's
I don't
your
think
choice.
so.
We only bring the message to you. That's it.
Look, you know the risks. I think this is a decision you need to make.
You
And
and
we're
your
not
wife
here to
need to
judge
think
you
about
one way or
this.
the other.
I don't think you should. I think you should wait.
Could we perform the ritual in secret? That way, if something did go wrong, and
You
I
could
knew
bring the
immediately.
remains of your. You could bring the remains of your child up to him. We can do it. If you so want. And then we go from there.
You seem like, at least from the brief moment I've spoken with you, people with a somewhat level head. I imagine you to be good people. Would you put him back out of his misery, should he be returned to life with abnormalities?
Yes.
Remise is
What?
almost
Why don't we just?
shocked at how quickly that Temperance said that.
Why can't he just go live with the abbot?
That does not seem like a great existence to me. However, I also do not want any part in this.
I
If
would not
that should happen.
want that life for my son. In fact, the only reason that I am even considering it at all is my deep love for my wife and her suffering, and hoping that with the hope that her boy could come back to her, if he was in fact able to be returned. Now, I guess I should put some clarification on it. If he just has a disformed pinky or maybe an ear that misshapen when he is returned to life, maybe just remove the bad bits. But if he is born with a misshapen leg or a face that only my
Well-
wife could love.
There's another option. And I'll look at Radovan. Radovan has a power of healing. It's not the same as what the abbot would do, and it would almost guarantee change his form, but it would change it completely. So he'd be complete. He just might look like
He would still be humanoid, I think is what she's trying to say.
right, but he could be elvish or maybe halfling.
Or he could be a lizard folk as well.
That's on the list.
However, I would require oils and unguents to perform such a ritual. But my healing magic has not been corrupted, like the abbot seems to have been. However, the more we speak of this, the less I am willing. You could perhaps
Tell me exactly what you need. I will speak with the other villagers and see if I can gather the components that you require to perform this magic. I would rather have a child that appeared to have stunted growth or pointed ears and slender features than one that grew hair or scales on their face. Had a leg which belonged to a horse. I would not be able to explain such abnormalities to the rest of the group. They would lose faith in me as a burgomaster. I did not know that you had the capabilities yourselves to be doing this. Otherwise, I would have never even had you go and speak with the abbot.
Well, remember, we came here for our own purposes.
Yeah. Of course, I would have still let you go to speak with the abbot. What I meant was, I would have not have put that burden on you to ask him.
Well, his magic, in effect, is supposed to be holy. It made sense that he would be a better choice for that. Radovan's magic is natural, but
What do you
the
mean
risk
by
is actually higher.
natural is? If you want to be
Divine.
academic about it.
I'm sorry, Radovan. Divine.
Hmm.
Gifted by a deity.
Let me think about it.
Please, you must. I'll give you anything that you need. The chance sounds so much greater that I would be able to have the sun back the way, at least as close to the way that he was intended. Name it. Do you need food, potions?
I said I would think about it, and I will let you know find 10 to do the ritual.
His kind of hopeful nature. You can see his face
Oh shit.
sink just a little bit. Sad. Very well. You still... I'll wait till he...
He's gonna go think about it now.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel bad because I know how frustrating it must be to have to deal with that. But my offer of my stable still, the barn rather, still there. You may sleep there for the evening. If I will bring out warm blankets and could even make a spot in the center for a fire, so long as you leave the door open to allow the smoke to leave. Try not to catch anything on fire. But basically what I'm saying is, take the night, think about it. You have free reign of the village. I will, for the moment, pretend that this conversation did not exist in the eyes of my wife.
Very well. Also, you should know that the abbot plans to, well, your trouble with your people's resting places, it should cease.
That is good to hear. I will call a town meeting. Let them know. You're sure of this, that he is done pillaging the graves of our people?
It should happen soon. We are trying to come to an arrangement.
Yeah, one more thing. I think that it would probably be best this way. And he walks back around the backside of his building. Where is it? Where is it? Sorry. Why can I not fucking... I'm going to have to cheap out for a second while I continue to read, but I completely spaced it on the son's name. He takes you and shows you the grave of his son.
Is the gray like hole in the ground or
It is
mound?
it is at this point the topsoil that has been shoveled back over top of the mound is no longer damp and fresh. You can kind of see the outer layers kind of packed in and kind of crusted over. It hasn't necessarily rained in this particular area for a while, so it looks like while it's a fresh grave, that it hasn't fully packed down and grass has sprung from it. It has been several days.
Okay.
But less than a week, right?
Yeah. Should you decide that you would be willing to, just do it. I don't want to be present. As cowardice as that may seem, I don't. If something
I
goes
understand.
wrong, please lie to me. Tell me that it didn't work, or that you decided against it. I promise I will hold no hard feelings towards you.
Well, then perhaps you could, if you're so willing, gather the materials for me.
Tell me what you need. I will place
Okay.
them in a basket outside of the barn. They are
I
yours
will-
regardless.
I will tell him what I need, but I will double the amount.
Okay? He does not know any better and will 1000% get you all that you require.
2,000 gold pieces worth of oils and onions.
That's some Irish shit coming from Radovan.
I am thinking it's kind of Irish stuff, but
At the same time, it's good to have enough for in case.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
never
absolutely.
know.
well,
It's his fee, right? Like if he
Yeah.
does go
Yeah.
through with it, he's like, I'm not doing this for free. Like
Well, it's also
resurrecting
good to have
someone
it
isn't
in
just
case.
for a
it's
barn.
labor
that's
plus
how Ira would
materials.
think, probably.
Yes.
I mean, it is a pretty ruthless, but there is something that, I mean, Radovan's been, and like he'd be okay if like they were only able to come up with so much, and we'll see what they are able to come up with. But I've been carrying. Never mind.
You've been carrying.
What's a reincarnation?
Mhm.
Okay.
1,000 gold pieces worth of oils and onions. What you're supposed to.
Yeah, I don't know what the fucking onion is, so I've got to Google what an
like a
onion is.
lotion. It's a lubricant.
Whoa.
Well,
Is it
You gonna
quite
rub the body down?
pungent?
It's
This
a
ritual, let me
massage.
tell you.
It-
I
And
was
it-
gonna
honestly,
say he
you
probably
only
shouldn't be
need
present,
one
but
piece of human flesh, or humanoid flesh. You only need one piece to make this happen.
Radovan needs to make it moist.
I guess that
Or
makes
himself
sense.
moist. I'm not
Yeah.
sure which one.
a slippery ritual, this one.
Okay.
Is embalming a common practice here in
I doubt it.
Krezk.
this area before it was taken to its own demiplane? Would I know that?
Give me a retconned perception check.
Sure. Because I love perception checks.
Okay. You would have noticed as you were going through the secondary building up in the Abbey that it looked like those individual rooms, those now prisons, were not originally part of the building, fashioned much later. And in some of the rooms, you still even saw beds that would have appeared inside of like normal healing quarters for any other sort of medical ward. You feel that this might have not only been a hospital in its prior life, but given the massive amount of graves that you saw out front, that this was possibly, like, at one point in time, a place where people trained and they worked on people, and embalming could have possibly been one of the things that they did in the Abbey.
Okay.
But down here, or the rest of Barovia, probably not.
We're probably looking at a pretty gooey corpse inside that casket. Good to know.
And it's gonna get even gooier.
Not if you do reincarnate, though.
What
I
do you
mean, it'll get gooey before it gets not gooey.
Dewey, Dewey, and Gooey.
Huey, Dewey, and Gooey. Nice.
Well, so yeah, I'll tell him that like twice the amount that I need, and then is it? It's not dark yet because we flew down pretty quick, right?
I'm
Or is
going
it?
to say that the sun is setting. By sun, I mean like there is no sun. You cannot see a sun, but it is like right at the dusk where the light is the last little bit of light is definitely falling behind the trees.
I'm going to go to this pool and
I'll
reflect.
go with you.
It wasn't an invitation, but
I wasn't asking permission.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was her idea before it was anybody else's.
Radovan will narrow his eyes at you and smirk and say, "Very well.
What are the
I
rest
think
of you
it
doing?
will actually be nice."
Are you all
He,
coming
off-
too?
he offered us like a place to stay, right?
The
Yeah,
barn.
his barn.
At the barn. Okay. Yeah, Anderson's just gonna go into the barn, not sleep yet, but just kind of take a seat, just kind of reflect on what's been going on.
As you open up the barn, you find that because of the overall kind of chill nature, like the cold, I don't know why I said chill, the cold nature of, yeah, it means like, everyone's so chill. No, because of the cold nature of the surrounding areas, while it might have like a dirty appearance of mud on the ground floor, like if you've ever been to like a Renaissance fair and you see the mud and they'll like throw straw or like sawdust and shit on it, it's not like that. It is hardened, but there is like straw and things and hay like kind of packed into the sides, and you do see a very small pen of goats in there as well. The barn, a little bit bigger than their house. As you had seen earlier, normally the animals are kept inside of some of the houses with them. This seems to be a luxury that the burgomaster has afforded himself as the burgomaster, not having to live with his animals, and built a separate structure for them.
Yeah, but it's free heating.
If you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, I just think Anderson would go inside and just kind of just lay on the straw, just kind of like stare up at the ceiling.
Okay. Inside, the long ashen wood is just basically no color, no nothing, just staring out through the cracks as the sun sets, or the light, I guess, sets and it turns to dark. Still gray, overcast, no stars in sight.
I'd probably join Anderson inside the barn, laying out some texts and reviewing some things. I think it's not a great idea for Radovan to use that spell.
And why not?
I just don't think that there's a good chance that he's going to be happy with the result.
Well,
We
Look,
would have wasted.
the way I think about it
Real quick,
is-
friend, sorry, before I interrupt you, I need to figure out. I know two people are going to the well. Temperance, are you going to either the spring or stay or heading into the barn with them, so where you would hear this conversation, or are you doing something else?
Temperance would like to have a wander by herself.
Okay, that's
She's
fine.
just gonna kind of like tap on the door and go kind of walk around alone for a while.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you were or were not involved into this conversation in case that would change the way they spoke.
Go to
All right,
plans.
you two, go ahead and continue.
Just
Look, I feel like if things go well, this could help us. We're short on friends, we're short on allies. We need to do all we can. And between Abbott and Radovan, I trust Radovan.
I don't distrust the abbot. I just think that he's a little too sure of what he can and cannot do.
Are you speaking of the Abbott or Radovan?
Mostly the abbot.
Look, I don't like what the Abbott's been doing. And quite frankly, I'm more convinced than not that if he does the ritual, something will go wrong. Which is why I think Radovan has a much better shot to do this and get it right than the Abbot.
I feel like no matter what we do, something can go wrong. There's a sickness in this land that just pervades everything.
Look, you're new to this land. Let me give you some advice. You can't gain anything by not taking a risk.
No, I know. But still, your friend, Temperance, she was quick to jump on the idea of destroying the child.
Something's wrong with her. I feel like always has been.
But
I
that
don't
just
know.
seemed malicious.
It did. I agree with you.
Right. Ah, great.
I mean, I don't know what her deal is. The way I see it, she's just a moody teenager with teenager troubles.
I don't know.
I'm trying so hard not to laugh because, like, yeah. Sorry, I need to get
Just-
serious again.
It just seems to be darkness.
Something.
And on top of that, I'm sorry for the mistrust that Honora herself has in me. I know that I came in a rather peculiar way.
Look, you just happen to come in at a bad time. I know where you come from, and you've only helped us so far, so I have no reason to distrust you. Honora, though, well, she lost almost everything in one day. And you just happen to be there. At the right place at the wrong time, though.
Wow. No, I'll keep that to myself. Well, perhaps we just wait it out and see what happens.
Anderson will also like kind of pluck a ring off and say, you know, before coming here, I never would have thought I'd agree to anyone resurrecting people from the dead. But you'll come to learn. This place changes you. But since I've had to change my views so much, and he tosses you the ring, keep it. I don't want to look at it anymore.
Which ring is this?
This is just a ring he has.
Okay.
From backstory, it's just like the ring signifying he's a blood hunter.
Okay.
Would I know if this ring has any significance to anything other than he is a blood hunter?
You had made a check once upon a time to know his, like, that he was a blood hunter. I can't remember what the signifying, like, I mean, you've known that he's, a little more rugged than the rest, right? He looks, more fitting the role of somebody that would be hunting something down and killing them than the others, right? But I don't know if you would have put the ring as far as an insignia that it is his, unless he specifically told you. But I mean, I suppose you could have gathered that from the speech that he just gave.
Yeah.
I look down at the ring. I don't know what you want me to do with this, but I'll hold on to it for you.
Do what you want with it.
I'll set it down above my texts, and then I will continue to comb through them unless Anderson has anything else to add to it.
No, Anderson will just kind of stare blankly. Just,
okay.
Yeah, reflecting.
Okay. Honora and Radovan. By this time, well, actually, Temperance, you said you're just wandering around aimlessly looking at the town?
Doing something, but you should let them have their
Okay.
their thing.
Okay.
Oh boy. She's gonna burn the fucking town down.
Probably.
Hell yeah.
Who knows?
Random fireball, it just happened.
Nah, she's gonna go back up the mountain and find a boyfriend.
You might roast somebody. It's the end of the
Don't
day.
make eye contact. Don't touch.
I'll be right back.
Of course, the teenager's gonna push against that. So many
Sorry.
choices. John's like messaging her. You make eye contact with the beautiful ant crocodile man.
We are at that halfway point. Does anybody need to use the restroom or anything?
Yes.
Need to take a quick break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quick
I need
fiver.
to get
We'll
more
take
piss water, baby.
Whoa. All right, we'll take a quick one.
All right.
You're allowed to pee.
Only people get to cook.
Okay.
Go back to the Burgomaster's son. He doesn't get to be anymore.
Okay. All right. Honora and Radovan, make your way to the pool. What little light that was left in the sky now gone.
I might. So I'm gonna trail behind Radovan, probably a good 20 feet. I'm not trying to be sociable. And I think as I'm walking, I'm going to be playing with dancing lights. I'll keep casting it and kind of just absentmindedly playing with it and casting it and playing with it.
Sending it out and moving it around and
Yeah,
okay.
also lighting my way as I go. So
How far back are you trailing behind me?
like 20 feet.
I'm gonna stop and like look back at you, like what are you doing?
Are you asking me that, or are you just looking at me?
If you just stop all of a sudden,
No, I'll probably just keep going.
okay, I'll let you like get closer, and then I'll maybe walk beside you or walk in front of you.
Not really gonna acknowledge you right now.
What a strange bird she is.
Do we
Well,
make
what do
it
you-
to the pool, or is there going to be some?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking. Yeah. Well, what do you want me to say? Why am I doing this again?
You're helping a sad woman, a torn family.
Am I perhaps? It could go terribly wrong.
Could also go terribly right.
What's the point?
What do you mean, what's the point?
That soul. Who knows how many times it's been cycled through here.
We're gonna put a stop to it.
Right. So, we're putting a stop to it anyway. Why are we wasting time on this? Are we hoping to ensure their allegiance in some regard?
I don't know. I don't know what everyone's motivations are. Kind of
So
want to
you
help
you
somebody.
think I should do it?
I do. If I had the magic, I would.
You don't think temperance would hurt it if it turned out poorly?
I don't think I'd let Temperance hurt it if it turned out poorly. We could always take it with us. We could always bring it to Balaki, give it a chance, give him her.
The way that you're referring to it as it
I realize
over and
that.
over again is not encouraging.
Well, I was copying your language, but yes, him or her or whatever the child wants to be. It would... I don't know, what are the actual odds of it going poorly, Radovan? I don't know that spell.
Well, I don't think they're very high. At least, I don't think it would go poorly for... from my perspective, but I think of the complications of the child coming back in a form that displeases his parents. We could lie, but then what do we do with the child? Certainly we don't kill it.
No.
Him. Kill him. But then what? Where do we take him? Suddenly we have another task on our hands that
You know what?
probably should have be left to rest.
I bet the werewolves would take him in.
In what way?
Like,
I
it's
assume
part
you
of
don't
their
mean
family.
feeding them.
You didn't want me to kill a bird, Radovan. What is the shift in you all of a sudden?
It was a rock. What shift?
Like, all of a sudden you
Enlighten
were
me.
so about life and 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 so like hopeful in the last day since we got here. Really, you've been so guarded. And I know that I've been a lot. I know I've been a lot. I'm sorry. And she'll just look away.
Yes, there are several things that I have become crabby about. But in regards to life and its sanctity, and keeping things natural,
Nothing here is natural.
indeed, I just
Then
don't
what's
see.
one
So I
more?
don't see. I don't want to be part of it.
Well, then we'll
And you're
get
right.
that.
Therein lies my conflict as well. It is strange to have been brought up in such a way, and then to realize that the world that you're living in is so corrupt. It has required quite a shift, and it has been isolating. Most of Barovia operates with this as the norm, and totally unaware of their own plight, despite the fact that people wander around soulless. I worry. There is a selfish part of me that worries that when I try to call back his soul, I see him become soulless. A fate that I could meet myself.
You're from here, right? Were you born here?
For this lifetime, at least.
Do you think that just being here corrupts your soul?
Becomes a more plausible theory after our chat with the abbot.
I think that's what happened to Panton.
Certainly to some degree.
So it's not my fault. It's Barovia's fault.
I don't think it's your fault. Can everything be laid to blame on Barovia? Perhaps the lion's share.
I've come to research and think that he's having severe packet loss from internet provider, and it is cutting out and timing out his internet connection and causing it to disconnect it from Discord. But anyways,
How do you
carry
fix that though?
We'll have to figure that out.
yeah,
New
we'll get it.
ISP.
We'll get it.
Yeah, because I think around the same. Yeah. Well. Anyway. What was the last thing I said? The last thing I said was that I think Barovia could have been the lion's share of what
Happened to
changed
Panton.
But I did not know you very long.
Right. You didn't get to know Panton before.
How was he before?
Sad. But he was silly sometimes. And he loved color, to dress up. And pastries. Loved pastries. Used to sneak them to him when he was younger. When he was in trouble. for things he couldn't control.
This impression is not very different from the one that I have formed in our short time together. What changed?
I don't know. Started pushing me away and being more eager to hurt things and do things on his own. I don't know.
He seemed confused to me. I had little patience for it. He seemed to blame much of what he was experiencing on other things, and to not be able to let go or forgive.
What if I can't let go or forgive?
What are you trying to let go of? What are you trying to forgive? Him?
Myself?
Ah. I hope that it helps when I say things that I do not believe that it was your fault. But that can only do so much good. Ultimately, you yourself have to relieve yourself of that burden.
He sent me a letter with Ramis.
And
He blames me.
do you believe it's fair of him to do that?
I don't know. I truly do not know if I am the root cause. What Panton may have become. Or if it's this place. Or if it's Strahd himself. All I know is suck. Everything about this sucks. And I feel that if we can make one aspect of it just a little less shitty by bringing the Burgomaster's son back, it'll bring good, a little bit of good in the world.
I have no argument with that. It's just that in a place such as this, when so much good becomes twisted and spoiled and rotten, it...
And that's why I think you should do it, the Abbot.
Well,
I don't think you're twisted and spoiled and rotten. You tried to save a big ass bird's life.
that I did.
You care about life. You care about so much. And if this boy wants to live, maybe we should let him. If his soul comes back, then you know you made the right choice. If it doesn't, then we can take care of things and not feel guilty because there's no soul.
Well, there might be. And if there is, I would be calling it back into this existence.
If it wants to come, right?
Indeed. Very well.
As you're getting closer to the pool, and your conversation is winding down, Honora, you start to begin to feel like, as emotional as you were, you start to become very cognizant of the emotion of the sword. It's growing.
put my
not
hand on its
necessary,
mouth.
not necessarily like excitement, but you feel anticipatory, a longing to be closer
We're, al-
to the
we're almost
pond.
there, Adavan. Uh, we're
Yes.
there. It's getting closer. I can feel it. Let's go. Let's hurry. And I'll start to kind of jog a little.
Eventually, you make
What's
your
the
way.
rush?
Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Eventually, you make your way to the spring itself, and even though there's no light to be seen in the sky, it is dark now. The pond, the spring still shimmers. Golden speckles kind of trick your eye into thinking that it's it's not water at all. It's a gem that has just been placed here. That just radiates just these flickering lights.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
As you come up
Indeed.
to the edge of the spring, Nora, I need you to give me a perception check.
Okay. A 19.
It's not going to be a crocodile.
Looking around, kind of taking in the view in the distance, with it being, 100 foot or so across and a couple 100 feet wide, you eventually come full circle, taking in the perimeter of the spring to look at your own reflection. But it's not your reflection. A man stares back at you. Very handsome features. Very similar, in fact, to Strahd.
Radovan, do you see this when you look in the water? Tell me what you see when you look in the water.
Radovan starts. Do I see?
You see her reflection and your reflection.
Well, we don't look too bad, but after I'll stay in the barn, perhaps that will change things. You can see here, I'll start describing like whatever, if there's plants in the water or
Okay. Yeah, you can.
certain types of rocks.
I'm tuning him out at this point, and I want to reach towards the reflection.
And the very source of the spring is probably
It it mimics your every move. As you kneel down and get closer to the water, placing your hand out, its hand outstretching towards you. Sorry, got a burp trying to hold it back.
Just burp.
Okay,
turn it into a beatbox.
nice. Do you touch the water?
Yes.
As you touch the water, it's like your vision of your fingers intertwining. You can see your hand going into his from inside of the water, but his fingers don't appear to penetrate the water itself, kind of disappearing into the whatever magic this is.
Is the sword saying anything to me at this point?
It's communicating through emotion of comfort and relief. You actually do start to hear, as you're really allowing yourself to let go and tune out the outside world, listening to Radovan's babbling about the plants and the rocks around, now deafened to it. And what was the faintest of a whisper you tune into. So there is hope. And you don't see the reflection's lips moving. I thought for so long that it would never see the light of day. And yet here you are. I do not know you. But the fact that you
Okay.
hold... I am Sergei. The fact that you hold my sword. I can only assume that you have gone through terrible trials to get it. What of my love?
He has her. But not for long.
You feel rage and anger build inside of you.
We're gonna get her. We're gonna stop it. We're gonna save her this time.
Bring her to me, would you? When it's
The
all
pond?
said and done, bring her to here.
Promise?
I want to be with her one last time.
What if she doesn't remember you?
Love finds a way. She will remember me. All of these years I have not forgotten the curve of her face, the way she smells.
I'll do everything in my power. Bring her here for you. How are you here?
I have remained hidden from the evil spirits that keep this cycle. Once this curse is lifted, I will move on, knowing that my love is safe. But I stay here because if my spirit did not pass on, if my spirit passed on, my sword would not be what it was, what it is. The fragment. I've poured my very soul into that weapon.
I'll pull it out
And
and I'll
it
try to
is
hand it
just
to him in the
immediately just glowing, super bright.
yeah, like I'll try to hand it to him in the water.
Do you let go of it into the water?
If
Wait,
he
what?
tries to take it, then yes.
Radovan, you're seeing this happen, right? You see her
I'm like mumbling to myself into the water.
yeah,
Oh, see, I thought it
interlocking.
was like a. I thought it was like, it's kind of. Cause...
I think anytime I reply, it's out loud.
Yeah, you can't
Okay.
hear him. You can only hear her. You don't see him. You see Honora with her fingers interlocking with her own reflection, talking to herself, and now pulling out her sword and appearing to outstretch it into her own hands into the water. From an outward appearance, the sudden shift in mood, in like body language, in talking to herself, you might get the impression that something had happened similar to what Ramiz had gone through.
Yeah, that's what I was actually
Like
just
a
thinking.
brief bout of like madness, unknowing of the extent or the type, but from an outward appearance, she seems to be losing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to I want to try to hand him the sword in the water. I want to see what he does. Because
Well,
it's his.
before you do that, I would have probably cast a greater restoration on her.
Okay.
And if that failed, I would try dispel magic. But I mean, I would be like Honora. First, thinking that she had blanked out or was stupefied by like how cool all the rock facts I was giving out were.
Yeah, she's reaching down to
You
pick
put
up
me
one
into
of
an
the.
elvish trance.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're able to cast Greater Restoration, but it has no effect.
And dispel magic.
What is your? Because it has to be like an item, right? It's not like a radius that it just dispels all magic items in a
What's
certain
a type
area.
of magic? You have to pick like a type, I think.
Magical effect. I guess do I have to know what the effect is? Could I just like try to dispel like enchantment that's going on?
I would say you would be able to do that. It's like you see somebody has like an impenetrable aura as you're like they're not taking any damage. You might try to dispel that effect in combat or something like that. I would say you could try to dispel an enchantment.
Oh yeah, like what's his
Or
face
charm.
that I totally destroyed his globe of invulnerability.
Yes.
Remember that, you guys?
Yeah,
Wasn't
I
that
do.
so cool?
Yeah, that was the coolest.
Play that
That happened
highlight
like
here.
5 minutes ago, didn't it?
Yeah, Grigori. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought for sure that battle was going to be a lot harder, and it was just, I mean, it still was pretty hard, but.
I almost died. I think.
Yeah. Anyways, nothing that you do is having an impact. In fact, Honora almost seems oblivious to your actions of trying to cast these particular spells. He reaches out for the hilt of the sword as you present it to him. And Radovan, you can see all of this happen minus the Sergei portion.
That was terrible.
Rip.
It's okay. But as she hands the sword, it stays firm as the hilt submerges into the water. And if Honora lets go of it, it will stay suspended in the water in the place that it was left.
Yeah, I'm literally trying to hand him his sword. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is yours. This belongs to you. Can you come and help us? Can you save her?
The only way that I can help is through this weapon, this device. I was not the warrior that my brother was. I was not even really trained. I was a lover. Probably the reason why Tatiana drew herself to me instead of him. While practiced with swords only enough to be able to say that I was von Zarovich, I had no skill on the battlefield. I wouldn't be a hindrance. But my vengeance is captured within this sword. It will aid you.
I feel it. Feel it pushing me forward.
do not think anyone previously has had this weapon in their fight against my brother. That alone shows great promise for you.
We found more. And I'll touch the symbol of Ravenkind that I wear. The ravens promised to help us. The werewolves have promised to help us. We've allies, friends.
I am not familiar with the ravens or the werewolves that you speak, but allies will be invaluable. There's a lot of things that my brother is not, but powerful is not one of them. He is very powerful.
Is there anything you could help us with? Any weaknesses? Any strategies? Anything that you might know about him that we could utilize?
He's arrogant, proud. The whole reason he got himself into this predicament in the first place is because he was too proud to be happy that I was going to marry the woman that he loved. That all of his accomplishments on the battlefield were not enough to win over my Tatiana. He almost died once. The Vistani, I believe they are called. They saved him.
Madabeba, your half-sister.
I'm not sure who you are talking about.
She's the daughter of
I had no
the maid.
sisters.
The nursemaid that raised Strahd.
I'd rather not think about father's infidelity. While I appreciate your willingness to help me make peace with that information that I did not know, it is not relevant to the situation. Just know that you can probably use his pride or his arrogance to make him angry in a way that he might make a misstep. Goad him into a false sense of confidence. Strike when he is most vulnerable.
That is our plan. I understand. Thank you. And I'll reach back for the sword.
You take it freely, he releases it. Please bring me my love. One last time.
If it's the last thing I do.
I will be here. And his reflection slowly starts to sink deeper into the depths of the spring until you are now left with only your own.
Control water, splash.
Oh, God.
Nora,
What was that for?
You were having some kind of vision. You were talking to yourself and
I
thought you
wasn't
were about
talking
to
to myself.
dive right in.
Radovan, I talked to Sergey. His soul is here in the spring.
How?
I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like this is hopeful somehow.
You're sure it was him?
Yeah.
And Radovan, because you could hear Honora, you would have heard her say Sergey when she had inquired to him whether or not that's who it was.
Do I wait? Does this so the sword belongs to him?
Mhm.
Or belonged to him? And do I know that? Or
Um,
was that just revealed to her just now?
Oh, I knew
By,
that.
like that. Oh. Oh, so okay. Well,
yes.
And I mean, I might have met and knew that. I don't know if I actually knew that, but the sword.
The
Tough.
blade of the sword was shattered in life. And that is why there is no blade. But it is essentially his soul that is the blade when it is summoned forth.
okay, but I don't know like all those details about it, so
But that's
Yeah.
just for you guys, the players, not the characters.
Right. Sergey's sword. We found it, and it's gonna help us.
Honora does know that because he just explained that it's his soul. It's his soul in the blade.
Mhm.
well,
We have unlikely allies in ways we never would have expected.
that is good news. That is well, what a wondrous spring. A miracle conjured up as soon as we approach it.
I want to take a sip of the spring water.
Okay.
Could you wait about 10 minutes and just enjoy the view with me as I prepare something?
Okay.
Gonna bust out a candlelight dinner or something?
Or
I'm just kidding.
purified food and drink.
No,
Oh.
I'm gonna do detect magic.
Okay.
I'm gonna cast it as a ritual.
I still kind of like. I think Honora's feeling both driven and peaceful for like the first time in weeks, and so I think she's just kind of running her hand in the pond and just kind of enjoying the moment.
So you don't take a sip though.
No, because he asked me not to. I won't do it yet.
Okay.
I don't feel belligerent at the moment.
Okay. You cast detect magic. The entire pond has a hint of abjuration magic.
Shit. The funny thing is, necromancy is healing.
I mean that seems okay, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All I detect is a presence of abjuration.
The shield magic.
Yes. Detect magic would only detect like arcane types of magic. It wouldn't detect like divine, or it wouldn't tell me if it's like a divine thing or.
Well, even divine magic is part of the schools.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
wouldn't.
Yeah. So I'll take a sip.
And
You gain the benefits of lesser restoration and 10 temporary hit points.
This is the sweetest water I've ever had.
well, I will trust you then, and then I will shape water up like a little fountain and like bring it up to my lips and really enjoy it as well. And then we'll laugh and splash each other, I imagine.
Have a pool party.
Yeah. Okay, that's
I mean, I'm probably just gonna sit
scene.
and meditate and just stare at the water for a good hour or so, quietly, thinking of everything that just happened.
I would like
You want to
to
head
dump
back?
out
You're welcome
my
to. I think
water
I'm.
skin and gather some up for myself.
Okay.
Um,
Just because this is a relatively useful boon, I want to make it abundantly clear of your findings during this, especially since you're saving some in your water skin.
I fill the bag of holding with water from the spring until it is.
Ira had the bag of
You
holding.
be careful. I'll make you tell me how many gallons you're putting in there, and we'll do the math
Doesn't have
right
his bag
now.
of holding.
I know, I'm just kidding. As you did your control water to make a spring and took a drink of it, and you also gained the benefits of 10 temporary hit points, and you fill your water skin with it. And just because it's been an extremely long time since you've had this fresh of water, you decide to take another drink from your water skin before you cap it off. You realize that it doesn't taste as sweet or as pure the second time around. But you feel that whatever effect this pond had can only be experienced the first time you drink it.
So my question was, does it go away at the end of a long rest?
Yes,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Pretty standard. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just sit and peacefully stay at the pond for at least an hour. Radovan, you can go back if you want. I'm gonna stay here a little long.
Oh, thank you for your permission.
Saying you don't have to wait for me.
Fucking spicy.
Just getting back at me for earlier.
Are we good?
You mean you and me?
We've had some harsh words lately.
Have we?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been upset with you, but I understand where you're coming from, I think.
Can
new
you maybe
priest...
do your magic on Ramis and make sure he is a good person?
I don't have a magic spell that shows me an objective compass of morality and points this way and that. He seems fine enough, maybe a bit
Pushy,
foolish
bossy, abrasive.
He supposes a certain persecution coming from you without fully realizing what you've gone through, and mistakenly attributes your mood as a result of him entirely, which seems
Captain
unfair
Mid,
to me.
it's a little suspicious. He showed up with Panton's things.
Well, does the letter seem... Why? What is suspicious about that? So, let's imagine this scenario. So he's... Forgive my bluntness with the matter. He slays your brother and brings you the letter out as some sort of sick... I suppose there are characters out there that might do such a thing. But it would be
A way to gain our trust?
incredibly elaborate.
To sabotage our group from within? Because he's working for Strahd? Kills Panton? comes here with this story about how he ran into a little halfling boy that was distraught.
Yes,
And
yes.
then
The more
here's a forged letter from the little
Um,
boy saying it's all your fault and I hate you. And then and then he gets into our group and earns our trust just to backstab us.
Nora, I do have a spell that I can cast. It's not a moral compass, but something similar, and it seems. Ooh, it looks like this device that I've summoned is going from suspicious to paranoia. Suspicious to paranoia. Yes.
You have to admit it's plausible.
Yes, it is plausible. Sure, perhaps not as plausible as the fact that if the abbot were to resurrect the son, he would come back as some raving crocodile fiend, but it is plausible, I suppose.
It is. It's 100% a risk. That's gonna be so frustrating for him.
Yeah.
I study the stars, I don't study the rate of plausibility of things that happen underneath them.
Oh, did you do that spell where you ask?
Oh.
A
Yes,
ritual?
I'd have to meditate about that. I could.
Would you? I mean, as a favor for me? I'm sorry. I would feel better knowing that he wasn't a spy.
No trust. Well, I guess you trust
Rovia,
my connection.
I trust
Perhaps.
Anderson. I trust you. Even Temperance. She's a little off sometimes. Just Ramis is so new, and his circumstances are so personally suspicious.
He seems a foreigner, much like the rest of you.
But
Well,
if you say he's clean, I'll believe it and I'll back off. But
we'll
if you
see.
say that he's suspicious,
I'm not sure just how certain my gods can be in this case, but we'll see.
it's his gift. It's better than nothing. It's better than constantly watching my back and being paranoid and
Oh, you don't
upset.
have nothing. I've been trying to counsel you, the matter others have as well.
I just want some reassurance.
Well,
Every
more
time I look at
reassurance,
him,
magical reassurance.
well, every time I look at him, I see Panton's mangled body.
Well, have you supposed perhaps that could be affecting the way that you treat him?
Oh, 100%.
And how that could perhaps be exacerbating the problem as he reacts in perhaps a typical way? Never mind. I shall consult the deities. These deities, by the way, that you know nothing of and are simply trusting me to consult.
I told you I trust you, Radovan.
Oh, wonderful. Then I don't even have to cast the spell. I'll just tell you that I did and that he's fine.
Well, when you put it like that, should I not trust you? Is that what you're telling me? Did Barovia get to you? Are you finally gone nuts too?
I've been here a lot longer than the rest of you.
We
It
found
is your
you.
choice to trust.
We found you trapped in that hellscape
Yes.
in Gregori's laboratory. I truly do not know what he did to you or where you were when we were stuck in that soul lantern.
Oh, I was with you. But
I
I've
don't
been,
remember you.
well, not me, but me. I've come to believe that I've been here even longer than this life has allowed me. The souls are recycled. I don't know how many iterations it's been.
But elves have long lives.
Not in Barovia. I've been fortunate.
Um,
The large majority of my people have been cleansed. My mother. All the women, actually.
it's horrifying.
Yes. I don't even remember what came before that.
Nori's gonna give Radovan an awkward hug because she's in full plate armor.
And it's going to be awkward because I'm not totally comfortable with it, but I'll let it happen.
Alrighty.
I thank you. That's enough. Thank you. Very well. I should go see the.
Awkwardly too long. Way too long of a hug.
I should go see Pat. I should go see how far along these supplies they've gotten with gathering my supplies. All right. Very well.
As you get back finally to the barn, you do.
I'm still gonna wait behind at the pond and kind of sit with my own thoughts for a while as he runs off.
Just so you can add them to your inventory. As you get back to the barn, you do see a basket with all of the supplies that you need.
That was fast.
It's probably only
how do they have this stuff?
It's probably like
I
they
guess
have a
oil.
common stores, and if you inspect it, while it doesn't necessarily require it to be a certain kind, it just says oil and unguents. It is like a very bitter scent of like a dandelion, like a weed oil, like the
Goat milk soap.
but the ointment slash kind of soap, the lubricant is actually like a chamomile. So,
You mean like my piss water?
like your piss water, yep.
Oh.
But yeah.
Life-giving piss water. Right.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Temperance.
Oh.
As you're walking around the dark, you see the town, candlelight or small lanterns producing light from inside some of the cottages. Again, very small, only a couple hundred square feet each. Faintly hearing hens clucking or pigs just making poor respiratory noises as they're trying to move around, and just general ambience. But it is peaceful. You feel safe inside of the tall walls, the forest that you lived in prior to coming here. Seeing this many trees and feeling at least somewhat safe here kind of allows you to soak it in and think back on times of the past. But the time is yours.
Yeah. I think Temperance is going to wander into one of the more densely packed areas of trees, so she's neither seen nor heard necessarily, and like truly feels like she's able to be alone. And she's going to dig through her backpack and pull out the pipes of haunting that she got after they fought Bobble Saga, which, largely she hasn't really thought about, but after today talking about being used as a tool to kill things that we all think are bad or whatever, she was like, that could be a tool. And she just kind of pulls it out and starts trying to see if she can make any useful notes out of it.
Give me a performance check for our third roll of the evening.
No!
That's hilarious.
And it's a fucking nat 1, baby!
Yeah.
Always got to be one.
It's the first time she's ever put a flute to her lips. Of course it's a nat 1.
Yeah, the first time you pick it up, just not ever having seen one before, you tried to start like blowing into it, and then you kind of realized you had it upside down, blowing into the wrong end. It was making a noise, but even then, and then you put your lips back up to it again and start blowing, but then realize as you're looking at it is that there's actually a notched edge on one side that would more easily allow for your lip placement, and eventually you get there. And the notes that come out of it, you've heard music before. You know what peaceful string instruments are supposed to sound like, even bells and things like that sound pleasant. This does not. But you get a feeling that it's not necessarily because of your performance. After spending some time trying to play, the notes that you do get out of it are almost like a whispering of the wind, the haunted nature of the air producing a sound of a wailing spirit, but only muted to where only you can hear in this particular moment. It might take you a little bit of practice to utilize, but you feel that if you were to actually play a full-blown note, make solid contact, get that air through each of the pipes the way it's meant to be played, that it could send chills down anyone's spine.
So, feeling like she's going to need some more practice with that before it's very useful, she just kind of tucks it away.
John,
And
oh, sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, when you say chills down your spine, it's not like whoa, like great performance. It's
no,
like
it's like fear.
of,
yes.
Yeah.
And now,
Deep unsettling fear.
To be clear, meta wise, there's no performance check needed to actually use the item. That was just for you playing. So if you ever did go to use that in combat, you're gonna succeed. It's them that would have to fail the saving throw. So you don't have to worry about me like, oh, do I use this? My performance sucks
so terribly.
Okay.
Scares
Yeah,
the
I just
shit out of them.
because it says that I need to be proficient with instruments, that like I need some practice before.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that one. Yeah, give it a couple more practices before you, and I'll give you the proficiency.
Okay, cool. So the next thing, now that Temperance is like really remembering like this, like being alone and like meditative, like I remember what it was like to just be by myself and practice all of my skills and try and like get good at it. And that's what reminds her of whoever she spoke to in the mountain left something for her. I don't know that Temperance actually knows what it is yet, but she wants to try to tap into it.
The thinking about the Ember Temple and the voices or the vision or the communication you had while journaling makes you pull out your journal. And as you stare at the pages, ink seems to rise from below. Let them free, my child. Take to the skies. No other ink continues into the pages.
She's going to read that aloud to herself. Let them free, my child. Take to the skies.
And you read it. You say it over and over again, thinking it seems so far out of the realm of possibility. You think maybe it's a cryptic message. What could it mean? And as you close your eyes and you close the book and it's clenched tightly in your hand, the bag secured on your back, you think and you repeat it and you repeat it. And as you think for the final time, take to the skies. Boosh, these wings, black feathery, just sprout from your back. And instinctually, they just gust, and you're up in the air 40, 50 feet, climbing. These wings are strong. They're powerful. Wider than you are tall. You did not feel pain. You did not feel anything but just a slight pressure as they released from somewhere. You don't know, but in this moment, you don't care. The sense of freedom is unlike anything that you've ever felt before. You are flying.
Yeah.
Instinctually,
Temperance.
it doesn't take anything for you to be able to navigate the skies.
She flies right at the tree line so that, no one would really be able to. I imagine no one would be able to really notice except just blackness.
It's pretty dark at this point, right?
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Yeah.
And
But,
not
if you
only
only
that,
fly,
but the
like,
trees, these particular trees, they're very tall, very thin, probably 100 plus feet tall. So you've got some sky clearance that you can play with.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so she just takes her time dipping in and around the trees. Maybe even like
Give me a
her-
dexterity check.
Oh yeah. Okay. Just general dexterity.
I guess you can give me an acrobatics. That'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Still not great.
Yeah, but you're learning. You just got them, right? The flying around is comfortable, and as you're weaving in between trees, ducking low to the tree line, you just feel this sense of freedom washing over you, and you decide, oh, I want to, try twirling, just like as you would after having a good day, after the first day after you met, a potential love interest, just at home twirling around in the leaves underneath of your feet. You try to do that in air, spinning as you're flying, and you feel the grazing of a tree against one of the tips of your wings, kind of taking you out of balance just enough, but you catch yourself. And it's just a reminder that This is still new, but it feels amazing.
I think she doesn't want to stay away from the group too long just because they're going to be annoying about it. But she just like relishes this feeling of like being a little more powerful than she used to be, and like has a little primal scream as she lands, like a
And as you land, you sense the muscles that you didn't know you had are sore. They are tense. You feel not exhausted in a game mechanic sense, but you feel tired. And as your wings fold and collapse in on themselves, not before you get the opportunity to feel, checking they are physical, they are real, but they disappear. And you close your eyes and you mutter to yourself, "Let them free my child, take to the skies." And you feel that if you wanted to again, you could. So you make your way back to the rest of the group.
yeah, just feeling very, very positive about myself in a way that, maybe I haven't been feeling. With all these negative Nellies all around me, trying to push me down,
Hey, don't talk that bad.
tell me not
about
to
our stable
burn
mates.
shit.
Yeah, right. And you know what they
Okay,
say, if everyone else around you is an asshole, maybe.
Maybe.
We
Anyways.
look around at the donkeys in the stable.
um, Honora, how long do you think that you're going to be staying out at the spring?
I
Do you
imagine she'd
stay by
there
the
for, like,
water? Do you end up
Yeah.
over by the gazebo? Do you...
I might wander around a little bit, just find a comfortable spot. I might even actually kind of fall asleep over there.
Okay.
'Cause I feel good for the first time in a while, so I kind of want to stay near it.
Yeah,
So I may not make it back to the barn that night. I might just sleep out in the open.
I forgot to mention it earlier, but for whatever reason, over by this spring, it feels about 30 degrees warmer. That would have been a very immediate feeling
Notice.
from both of you. I forgot to
Making
mention.
it how warm?
A brisk 78 degrees.
Just 70.
That's
Probably
pretty
60,
good.
probably about 65, 70, because it's constantly teetering between freezing and not freezing, enough for the snow to kind of stick and melt and continue again. But
Yeah, so I'll stay. I'll probably fall asleep near the pond.
okay.
I don't see any reason to go back to the barn.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
you'll definitely relay that information to the others.
you'll gain the
I didn't
benefit
explain to you that I was gonna sleep by the pond. I just said, go ahead. I want to stay.
No,
a little
not
later.
that it's warmer over there.
Okay.
Okay.
Honora, nothing will interrupt your sleep. You'll gain the benefits of a long rest. The rest of you eventually reconvene at the barn. I'll say, because the flight and the conversation by the spring kind of happening simultaneously, that you both arrive relatively the same time, one shortly after the other, within a couple minutes. Probably Radovan arriving. I would imagine. I guess you probably walk up as he's inspecting the package and walking inside. And the four of you together in the barn.
Well, you seem rather chipper. You didn't even go to the spring. At least we didn't see you.
I just spent some time by myself. It felt good.
I can understand that with how things have been. I'm glad. The spring is really nice, by the way.
Is Honora
It's-
doing better?
Yes. She had a strange vision. I believe the sword that she wields, whether it was through some divine magic of the spring or that it was time, it spoke to her, it seemed.
And Anderson,
At least I think.
Ramiz, you're hearing this if you're not already asleep, which I think you'd probably be on the brink of if you were trying to, but probably not like out cold.
I thought some kind of madness had taken over her, but it seems that she's all right. The water is quite good. And I've been supplied more than adequately for the task, which I have decided I will go through with.
Why the
So
change of heart?
Not so much a change. I have mixed feelings about it. I know that it may not turn out well, but I'm going to try anyway. And we can deal with the consequences. But after my time at the spring, there are still some good things here in the land. Anderson, when you have a moment, I have a private matter to consult you about.
Oh, right.
Preferably before you nod off.
All right. Anderson kind of just kicks up his feet and like makes his way over.
How far away is the son's grave that he took us to?
Probably about 30 feet.
Okay. I will grab my pack and beckon Anderson outside to the grave. When we get there, sorry, I know that you are often asked to do physical tasks in the group, as you seem the most fit. But that is not the only reason why I called for your aid.
Really?
I've been carrying something since we've escaped the lantern. And I offered it. Do you remember the offer I made you?
Out of character. Can you remind me really quick?
No.
I know where you're going with this, and now I remember. Okay, go ahead.
We defeated Grigori,
Mm-hmm.
but at a cost. The woman, I did not know her long, but my sense, though I was not quite myself within the lantern, she seemed good. She seemed to care for you. I've carried her remains since that time, but I did not have the means to resuscitate her. I have not had a need to lie in some time, but I did ask for the Burgomaster for perhaps more than I needed. I can perform the spell twice, but I would not do so without your permission.
Anderson looks down for a hot second and looks back up and says, "Look, I do want this to happen, but not while we're still in Barovia. I don't want to subject her to any of this. Once we're
I
out of
understand.
here, I'll take you up on your offer.
May not get another chance.
Being in Barovia, this place, no offense, it's a living goddamn hell.
Why would I take offense to that? Just because it's my home?
Well,
I've had to deal
yeah.
with it longer than you have. Imagine how I feel.
Right. And you should know, and I hope you understand that I can't, in good conscience, bring anyone here.
Shit. How long has it been, actually? There's a 10-day limit Sarah just reminded me of.
Yeah, session 49. I was just going back and looking at it. We're at session 63. I am quite positive that we have not gone through 10 whole days yet, which seems crazy.
But it's gotta be close. It's probably
Yeah.
close to 10 days.
Yeah,
You probably got
yeah.
like this time and this time only to really offer it to him.
So
And oh my god, Joseph! Oh, I'm dying over here.
the day that you stayed the night inside of Grigori's after you killed Grigori and Arnold left, the time that you spent, because after you left, you immediately went and killed Babala Saga, but I don't think that you went to sleep until you were inside of Argynvost or Argynvostholt, because you could have camped out at the ledge below and hiked around, but that was the first time Radovan transformed into a giant eagle and took you guys up. And then after that, you went from Argynvost Holt to
Strahd's castle.
Strahd's castle, because Madame Ava took you there. And then once you got out of that, then I
We
think
long rested at the Amber Temple.
So
And then the cave. Then
which
the Wizards
cave?
of Wine. The cave,
cave
where
where I
Panton
Coming down from the
appeared.
temple.
Oh, yep, cave.
Remember that great role play I did when I painted the
Yeah,
cave?
cave.
Came up with
Wizard
images?
of Wines.
Uh-huh.
And then Argynvost
Madame
the
again.
tower.
Yeah, so you went to Argynvost, did the thing, and then slept at the tower because you basically
Uh-huh.
took a point of
Yep.
exhaustion to get there. And then
Mhm.
you went from the
Tower to the
tower
werewolves.
to the werewolves, but you didn't
to
stay
here.
at the werewolves. You
No, well, we stopped at Van Richten's tower.
well,
That was
you
before.
were yeah.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
no. That was yeah. So you're basically at
week.
So we're
8
on day
days.
9.
Yeah, this is the 9th day. So you've got today and tomorrow to make that happen.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! This entire session has been goosebumps. The whole fucking
I didn't
time.
forget. I planned it all out. And,
I mean, it couldn't have landed better if you had. Seriously.
Holy shit.
well, I will explain that to Anderson and
Right.
say,
Do what your character would do. Don't think about whether or not I would have to play or deal with another.
Yeah,
character.
no. And like
Absolutely.
but also maybe Andrew doesn't want to have to deal.
no,
Well, at
no,
the
it's
same time, we
not.
could leave her here where she'd be safe
'Cause,
until
like-
we were done, but I'm not there.
Because like
Mhm.
it's just like she's she's stuck with us.
Yeah,
And like that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I know even then you have reservations about resurrection, and it's only until now that you've kind of been I mean, because if you really wanted to, you could have resurrected her when she died back then, but it's against kind of your code a little bit. So, yeah. But just know, you do whatever your character would do.
No,
Don't let
and
any
like
outside
this
influence.
is what it's just bringing someone here is just.
I get it. I get it.
I will
Yeah.
explain to Anderson. There's something I want you to consider. Her soul will have the choice of coming back. Now, granted, because she died within this realm, she is already being recycled if she has not been consumed. And I want you to consider the fact that it has not yet been tested, but I am sure that I have passed in this realm without. Well, I suppose I've received a new form here, but I do not know that my soul will persist if we free this realm from Strahd. Do you take my meaning?
I do understand that, but
So,
even if her soul is trapped here, bringing her back in her body.
well, it won't be her body. I'm not quite that.
Or just in general, in a body. Imagine what could happen to her just being here. The hell that we've gone through, I can't put her through that.
Well, I could be the one to take responsibility, or she could be the one to take responsibility, since if I complete the spell, it would be her choice, and if she would like to fight and help in that regard.
Radavan, I really, really do appreciate it. I do, but whether it's her choice or not, I can't, in good conscience, bring someone here. It's not something I want for anyone else.
Don't you understand? She's already trapped.
But in physical form, imagine how much worse it could be. This place is miserable. This isn't hell, it's the closest damn thing to it.
Very well.
Anderson will put a hand on Radovan's shoulder and just say, look, thank you. I really, really do appreciate it. And I know you're trying to help. And thank you. But I just can't find it in me to do it. Now come on. You need me to dig up a body?
Yes, thank you.
Not just gonna mold earth.
Is there like a shovel there or something?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have it prepared, or do I?
Google.
I have stone shape, but yeah, not mold earth at the moment.
Okay.
I switched it out for shape water, I think.
Give me just one moment. Yeah, there's a like not a full blown shovel that you can see within actually you would have known that there was one resting up against the barn to shovel goat shit. So yeah, you'd be able to find that.
Don't accidentally resurrect the goat.
Would happen.
But yeah, so
Gordon
you're
Kynan would be pleased. Sorry.
you're fine.
Wizard.
You find the shovel and you begin to dig. Very quickly, you hit something solid, and it kind of gives just a little bit, and kind of spreading it away. You immediately find that they didn't dig very deep. The hardness of the earth made it incredibly difficult to dig, and so these are relatively shallow graves. But you find the remains of Ilya, which is the name of her son.
Once Anderson is done digging, he'll say, "Are you all right with?" Oh, no,
God damn it.
all good. It's all good.
Okay. I would like to make a medicine check on the corpse to see how it died. I got a 22 using my omen ability. Good omens.
Okay. Um,
I don't think we ever got that information. I'm curious.
you would have to probably dig up the entire corpse. Are you wanting to do that, or
Yeah, Anderson was just gonna ask. He would say, "You all right with dead bodies? Do you want me to bring you just a part of it?"
Uh, bring a part of it. You should exhume it fully.
I
Okay.
mean, that's up to you.
I'm telling you what I require.
Well, your choice.
you go
You know
through.
that Radavan could have turned into a dog and dug this up much faster.
True.
Where are the bones?
So yeah, eventually, after probably about an hour worth of shoveling and carefully pulling out the bones, um, with your medicine check and investigating the corpse, you find that all of the bones are relatively intact, healthy looking, outside of the fresh scuffs or chips that might have just been created from the digging them out. Um, some of the flesh that is still on the body itself, you don't see. Kind of examining the organs, what's left of them. You don't find any wound or trace of stabbing or anything. Um, it's going to be really difficult to some sort of. I guess I will say that with that level of medicine, you probably would have looked pretty thoroughly. You would notice that the lungs kind of seem calloused and tougher than normal. Imagining that he probably had some sort of respiratory illness.
Okay. Yeah. I don't want to get into like the whole ritual at this point, so I'm good for now. If anybody else wants to.
You're gonna blue ball me and not find out what we're gonna resurrect this thing as? So I can't blue ball you guys and the fact that you find out what it is and have to wait until next week to deal with it? You're gonna
Next
strip
week
me?
we get to
you're
play
right.
next
Or
week.
not
Well, we
next
can-
week, but 2 weeks.
I mean, we can.
We can totally play next week.
Did you
No.
you have some role play that you wanted to go through for the ritual itself?
Probably, and I didn't feel like ready to
Okay.
do
All right.
that, but
We'll
but,
start
I
off the
mean,
next
but we
session.
don't have. We also don't have to do that. Like, I could just like I do
No.
the spell, and
You got this is your
because
game.
that
I
would
want
be
you guys
probably
to
pretty
play.
helpful to figure out like what. That's a good point. Like, if we figure out like what, we'll have some time to think about how we're going to proceed.
Yeah, it depends on what the babe turns into.
But no, yeah, we're gonna wait.
Blue
We're gonna
ball him.
wait. Yeah,
Blue
we're gonna
ball
blue.
him.
We're gonna
Yes.
blue ball.
Blue
We're gonna find out in the
balls.
moment and react in the moment. We're not gonna have like.
Well, you realize it's just you and Anderson, because I'm asleep at the pond, and
Yeah.
Temperance and Ramis are cuddling in the barn.
Totally, and like maybe I don't get started right away. Maybe we're just digging it up for. Well, I guess I probably should because we gotta
It
get
takes
it
an
done
hour.
by. We gotta get it done tonight, right?
It's a
I don't want
whole
to be discovered
hour.
by the.
You
what
know,
if we get discovered by the
before the
villagers?
long rest, preferably.
We got the guy who was suspected to be a Mongol folk digging up a grave.
God damn it.
Fucking
God
big
damn it.
true. Okay. Second order of business. Do you want the rolling table as it is? Or do you
Or
want?
do you want a Barovia version of it, which is
No, no,
real
no, no, no,
fucked
no,
up?
no, no, no. Or do you want it modified to where the undesirables are at the bottom and the more desirables are
Oh.
like scattered throughout?
No, keep
Like
keep it.
Oh.
40% and below is or it's actually only like
Well,
25%.
wait, it doesn't really matter because like each thing is still taking up. So mathematically, right? Like it's still going to be the same probability for each one, but it's just kind of exciting. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, he rolled a 20. We get like an
Tiefling.
Aryan
It beats
Ubermensch
That's true.
Tiefling.
specimen.
Yeah, you know what? We'll just leave it as is. I was overthinking it. It's the same probability no matter what.
Okay.
But
Well,
it's very
'cause, like,
exciting
natural
when you get a
20,
high roll
yeah,
and
if
it's
I get a
good
natural
thing.
20 and then it ends up being a team that's like, that's the worst.
A
natural
natural
20 Joseph
100
rolled,
it would
but
have to be.
It's kind of natural for him.
Still.
'Cause he sucks at rolling and stuff, but
Alrighty.
yeah.
Cool. Well,
Another thing you might want to think about, just mechanically, is technically the spell says adult body. You might want to just flavor it that it's a child's body, but that's up to you as a DM because putting the
We're
child's
big in
soul
this.
in an adult body is kind of weird.
well, we
just
better
seen
hope
Tom-
that it's a
that fun-
halfling
that
or
fun
something.
Tom-
Tom makes it so much fun when he was a grown up as a kid.
True.
Here's your kid back. It's a 37-year-old dude.
What's
with,
the
facial
Big?
hair.
Big is the movie that he was in,
Yeah.
right?
Big.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for
Vincent
sure.
That
Bravo.
How
movie
many
is so
times-
problematic, though.
Yeah.
He sleeps with an adult.
It's the different times.
That's awesome.
We could go with Shazam instead. I don't know if Shazam is any less
It is better.
problematic.
It
I
is
haven't
way
seen
better.
it.
At least the first movie. I haven't seen the second one yet.
Cool. Well, I guess that's where we'll end tonight's session.